In this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys on how to slip in boxing. That's one of the best ways of basically using defense in boxing. One of the great fighters that you can mention is Mike Tyson, Vasyl Lomachenko, just to name a couple of fighters who actually slip a lot of punches just for defense and obviously offense as well at the same time. So what you want to simply do at first is basically, just before I do get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so that way you get notified every time I post a video, because I'm always posting videos. And for you guys who don't know who I am, my name is Zulkifli Rahman and I'm a professional boxer. So what we're going to do simply is get into our defense, well, into our stance for that matter. So what we simply do right here is pretty simple, right? So if you're right-handed, put your left leg in front, so that's your lead leg. And if you're left-handed, then you basically want to put your right leg in front, right? So I'm right-handed for the matter, so my lead leg is my left, right? So what I'm going to simply do is I'm going to be putting my hands up. So if someone's going to be throwing a punch, what I want to simply do is I want to slip out the way, right? So I want to make sure that I'm not overextending or underextending as well, right? Because if you're overextending, you can basically, number one, injure yourself, and number two, obviously the reaction is not going to be as quick as you want it to be. And number two, and if you want to make sure, if you are underextending, you want to make sure that basically if you are underextending, your opponent can still hit you. I'm not saying that to guarantee that you're going to slip the punch, but of course I'm going to teach you the correct way of basically slipping a punch if you time it right. Right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to put your hands up, right? Keep your guard, right? Nice and tight. So when someone's going to say, let's say I'm throwing a right hand at me, so logically, of course, for me to slip is going to be my left side. So if they throw a right hand, I'm going to slip it. So how I simply do is this. If you look at my feet right now, what you simply see is this. Both my feet are flat. So if I want to slip to my left, what I want to do is with my lead leg, I want to keep my weight on my lead leg right here, right? My lead leg, right? And my back leg, I'm going to pivot it. So when I say pivot, if you look at my feet, I'm going to turn it, right? So as I'm turning with the slip, I'm moving my shoulder, and I'm also moving my hips, right? So my head moves with my shoulder. So whenever my shoulder moves, that's where my head's gonna move. So I don't need to just move my head, right? You don't want to do that, but that actually might look a bit weird, right? So what you want to simply do is move your head with your shoulder. So for example, if I'm gonna move this, you can see, right? I haven't overextended, I haven't went down too much, and I haven't went too little. Just try to slip just a little. I've slipped enough for the punch to go right over my shoulder. And what I've simply done here is I've put my full weight on my front foot, I've turned my shoulder and my hips, and I've pivoted my foot and moved to my left. So that way the punch can go over me. That way that allows me to get a counter shot in. So if I want to hit to the body, hit to the head, you know, I can slip and throw a right hand. So that way I'm always off that line. And it's the same thing going the opposite way. So if I want to slip to my right, so let's say I'm slipping a left, right, for the matter, left jab, or a straight left cross from a southpaw. Now I'm going to do the opposite way. So my weight is going to go back on my back leg, right? And my front foot for that matter is going to pivot. So here I am, same technique. Here we go. Look, and I've pivoted with my front foot. My back foot is basically what? Flat, right? So here we are. Slip, slip, slip. Now one thing you want to make sure you're not doing is you're not moving right in, or you're not moving right back, right? Because number one, you want to make sure that you're maintaining balance. So if you're moving too forward, if your opponent does decide to fake the punch and they land and throw a different punch, you might get caught and you might even go down. And it's the same thing with leaning back too far. Your mobility is a lot slower, and at the same time you're more open. You want to make it hard as possible for your opponent to even hit you. And at the same time, so if I'm going to slip to my left or my right, if I slip to my left, for example, let's say my opponent fakes the right hand and comes back with a hook, right? So if they fake the right hand, I've slipped as if they're going to throw a right hand and my hands are up. Let's say they wanted to hook me instead. So if they went, try to hook, so here I am, I've slipped it, hook. At least that way it's a better chance for the hook to land on my arm, minimize the possibility of you getting hit. So what you always want to make sure is you're doing is you're slipping with your hand. Comment below what video you want to see next, and make sure you like this video and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.